gentlemen, welcome to the Darkstone Dossiers with your host, Anthony Darkstone.
Greetings and welcome. Buonasera a tutti. Bonsoir. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. Guten Abend. And a very good evening to wherever you are. And also a very good afternoon and a very good morning to you, depending on which part of the planet you are currently located. Welcome to the Darkstone Dossiers, which is a Society of American Magicians International Assembly production. And that assembly is part of the overall Society of American Magicians, which if you are not a member, it doesn't matter where you live in the world, and you don't have to be an American citizen. You can join the SAM. And the gentleman I want to introduce to you before we get cracking with the show is the last president of the Society of American Magicians. And I'm very honored and thrilled that he is the dean of the International Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, quick howdy to Dr. Joel Batman Zoritsky.
Hey, everybody. I'm so happy you're all here. And I'm really looking forward because I had these two people coming up here in the Batcave. We had a blast. So I'm really looking forward to today's episode. Thanks, Anthony.
You're welcome, Joel. Before I introduce you to my two remarkable guests, I'm not in the habit of using adjectives if they're not necessary, but in this case, it is. They are truly remarkable, as you will shortly find out. But before I get to them, the only lady in the entire history of magic who has ever done a bullet catch, the only lady who has done an upside-down straitjacket escape with the rope on fire. Now, obviously, because of time constraints, we couldn't do it tonight, but we have managed to get hold of some clips. Just settle back and watch the remarkable Dorothy Dietrich.
My next guest has been billed as a female Harry Houdini. And understand what she does. Before I say take a look at this tape, I want you to know something. What you're about to see, please don't anybody attempt at home. And just so you know, 12 male magicians have died attempting to do what she is going to do, and you'll see. Take a look at this tape.
Ready? Aim. Fire.
Dazed but unhurt, Dorothy Dietrich has become the first woman to successfully accomplish the jinxed bullet catch, the stunt that scared Houdini.
That woman just caught a bullet in her mouth. Please welcome Dorothy Dietrich to the show. Dorothy, have a seat. I got to tell you, you just proved it to me. You must be the world's #1 female magician. What is it like catching a bullet in your mouth?
Well, it's quite scary, actually. The scariest part is leading up to it. The doing it once you're finally there and you're about to do it maybe 2 minutes before, you say to yourself, hold on, where am I? Am I supposed to really do this?
So wait, you have metal dentures in, obviously, something.
I have a metal cup in my mouth, which actually it took me 2 years to design this cup, which is something that is a special metal alloy. It's several layers of metal. The idea is you have to be able to catch the cup in the bullet in the cup, but it can't kick out. And the bullet goes right into the cup. And hopefully if the marksman is right on target, it goes in the cup and not in my head. And it's extremely scary.
This is Blast from the Past, where we will regularly upload a vintage video so you can enjoy these classic oldies but goodies.
Would you say about 15 stories high?
15 stories
and
high.
It's from that height that this beautiful young woman will escape. Well, Dorothy, good luck. Okay?
Thank you.
Officers, would you come over and put that straitjacket on this beautiful woman? Someone take her cape, please. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
The straitjacket is now being put on and will be securely fastened to firmly contain Dorothy's body. Don't that sound good? Lucky straitjacket. Now, if you'll notice that buckle in the back pockets, each one individually.
You have to, be gentle about this. Just buckle her in. Right.
What a courageous young woman. Earlier today, we shot a test using sandbags to simulate Dorothy's body weight. Here's what happened in 3 minutes and 37 seconds. It could happen to Dorothy.
Used to restrain the criminally insane, and this is an extra restraint, what they call a crack strap, okay? Now, take her 2 arms, pull them as tight as you can. Don't be gentle. Make sure you get out any slack, and then keep the tension and strap it in the back, okay? Now, keep the tension and pull as hard as you can. Go ahead. Just pull it right through. There you go. Get it right in there. Can you get it? Okay. Satisfied? Okay. Thank you.
Dorothy's feet are now being secured to the rope, which is attached to the carriage of the parachute above her. There's a great deal of tension here right now, not only on Dorothy's part, but on the part of her assistants. In many, many ways, her life is in their hands. Her feet were not securely bound. They could slip out, causing them to fall to the ground. Concentration and precision will make the difference between life and death.
All ready to go. Move back.
Ropes
Okay,
on
start the
fire.
razor.
Dorothy will begin her fight for her life. Need I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that this is one performer we cannot possibly help should anything go wrong. There are no nets, nothing. Dorothy insisted on that. All we can do is watch and hope for the best. There's another danger involved too, ladies and gentlemen. Being upside down like that is very difficult. After so many minutes or whatever time, depending on the person, you can black out. And I'm sure that Dorothy would like to be able to be in an upright position before that could happen. The fire still burns, but Dorothy seems to be quite calm enough as she finishes the 150-foot ascent. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Dorothy's reached the top and the race is on. The rope is burning and Dorothy is moving as quickly as she can. Will she do it? There is no guarantee. She's literally a woman fighting for her life. It's now been 1 minute and 32 seconds, and you can see she's still working. Wait a minute. I think she's got one arm almost worked out of that straitjacket. One arm is free, but she's still not out of danger yet. That fire is still burning. She's starting to get out of the jacket. But how long can that rope hold out before it snaps off? No one knows. Dorothy is working calmly but very intensely. She's a brave girl. That's a tremendous height. Now she's working on the other arm, on the back of the jacket. But we can't bring her down until she's completely out of the jacket. That's the arrangement Dorothy's made. She's done it. Yes, she's done it. I think she's out of the jacket. Yes, she's out of the jacket. Here it comes. An incredible feat from that height. But it's now 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And I hope the rope still holds on. Come on, get her down. Dorothy is being let down, but she's still at a height where she could fall to her death. Seconds are ticking away now. Remember, the test was 3 minutes and 37 seconds. Let's hope for her. She's coming down all right, but seems too slow to me. That rope could still burn through. Excitement and tenseness is incredible. She's closer to the ground. I think she's going to make it. I think she's going to make it. That's incredible. Unbelievable. It's certainly a hair-raising stunt. Beautiful, Dorothy. Let's give the young lady a nice big hand. I was really excited. There. Welcome back to the upside-down world. That was extraordinary. How are you? We'll take a shot at that rope because it was just on the verge of burning through. I'm glad we got you down in time. It's an extraordinary feat, really. And again, I thank you on behalf of myself and the audience for being so kind.
We hope you've enjoyed this blast from the past.
Well, thank you. Oh, wow. Some of you who are more or less my age or perhaps slightly younger would have recognized the gentleman in the hat. That was great, legendary Tony Curtis, who some of you may recall actually played Houdini in the movie. And to give you a little bit of Houdini history, please bear this in mind. He died at 1:26 on the 31st of October, which is known as Samhain, All Hallows Eve, or Halloween. Interestingly enough, the mysterious forces decreed that Dorothy Dietrich would also be born on the 31st of October in 19... Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dorothy Dietrich and my other guest, who's always there to keep an eye on her and make sure her hair stays in place, even upside down, Dick Brooks. So here they are. Dorothy and Dick, welcome, welcome. Great to see you. So 31st of October, your birthday, eh? Wow. How amazing and cool is that?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. It's not amazing because my birthday is occupied by Houdini because he died on Halloween and we do the Houdini seance on Halloween. And usually, and the funny thing is all the days leading up to Halloween, I'm doing lots of radio interviews and interviews with writers about Houdini, and everybody wants to know about Houdini, Houdini, and I don't make a big deal out of my birthday anymore. I never did, really.
Well, that's okay. We at the SAM will. Yeah. Joel, I know you've been in this house into the Batcave, and he has a well-stocked bar in that Batcave. So, whether you live there or not, or busy doing a talk show like this or someplace else, which you likely are, we I'm sure will celebrate. Now, let me actually take you back to your family. You're not an only child. You were one of 9 children, and you saw your magic show when you were just in grade school. So let me take you back there and have you tell us a little bit about that.
I was very fortunate. I grew up, like you said, with 6 brothers, 2 sisters, and in grade school, I was very fortunate. It was a very old building, but it had an actual auditorium with rake seating and a stage, a very large stage with a red velvety curtain.
Back there.
Like you see behind, and red lighting on the red curtain. And I will tell you that when I walked into the room for the very first time, I was blown away because I thought, wow, what's this cool thing? And the principal introduced the program, and he said, we're going to be seeing a magician, and we need you all to be quiet and be courteous. And the show began, and everybody was mesmerized. Everybody was taken away. I was into the whole thing all by myself. I was just sucked in, and I went, what is this? But it didn't take long for me to realize the whole room is feeling what I'm feeling. Everybody is getting this thing, whatever this thing is. And I really thought it was a gift, a present from this person on stage that brought us to this other place where anything is possible.
It was the gift of your lifetime, actually.
It was. As I was watching, I soon realized that this is very cool. It's cooler than I could ever imagine. I wonder if this guy gets paid to do this. And if he does, this is who I want to be. I want to be this person that shows up and brings everybody to this world of what is it? And I soon realized after as soon as that was done, I asked the teacher, what was that and how do I do that? And she said, well, you've got to get books on magic. Maybe you can learn it. And so that's what I did. I started learning magic right away, and I started inventing magic. My first invention was I took a hat and I lifted the hat, and I had something on the table, put the hat over the object, and then lifted the hat, and ta-da, it was gone. And needless to say, everybody knew how it was done.
I
So
don't know
I
how it
knew I
was
had to get
done.
better than that.
I don't know how it was done. I'm going to have to ask you for instructions. Hey, but along the way, as you were inventing things and performing magic, you got some of your family involved, and there's a real funny story about you and your sister and where her hair came off. Do you want to tell that story?
Well, I was with six brothers. I was very girly as a kid. I was a very, by myself, playing by myself. It was just how I was. But I was a scrawny little thing, and my brothers didn't like playing with me. First of all, whenever they wanted to play baseball, they asked me to play because that makes enough people. We got 9 kids. That makes enough people to play. So they said, all right, well, here's what you got to do. You're going to catch the ball. You're going to catch the ball. When it comes out, it's going to catch the ball. Okay, so I went to catch the ball, and it hurt so bad. And they said it was a softball. And I said, that's not a softball. And so then when they said, all right, it's called a softball. So they said, now you got to catch the ball and throw it. You got to catch it and throw it. So catch it and throw it, right? So now they play again, and I wouldn't catch it. I let it fall, and I picked it up, and then threw it. They said, "Okay, here's a mitt." They found me a mitt, so I'm going to catch it in the mitt, and it still hurt in the mitt. And I said, I can't do it. I can't do it. Is it still hurt even in the mitt? So now the boys would always want to play things like cops and robbers and cowboys and Indians, and I was always the damsel in distress. They would capture me and tie me to the chair or to the tree, to the porch. There was always some place that they could attach me to. And they'd either tie me up in ropes or whatever they could find. And I was always able to get out. And I thought that's what every kid did in life. I did not know that I had any kind of special skill. So my aunt was visiting one day, and she says, "Who do you think you are, Houdini?" And I said, "Who's that?" She said, "Look it up." Nice aunt. So I went to the library to look for Houdini to find out what is this. We didn't have internet back then, believe it or not, kiddos. So you had to go to a thing called a library where they got lots of books. So I went to look up Houdini, spelled W-H-O, Dini. Houdini. I couldn't find it. I could not find it. And the librarian could see that I was in trouble. So she quickly helped out. She said, what are you trying to find? And I said, I'm trying to find books on Houdini. So she said, oh, you're in the wrong place. You got to go over here. So she brought me over, and I picked up a book that was, I have it. I should have brought it to the event. It was Walter B. Gibson's book on Houdini and on magic and escapes. And I learned that not only was Houdini an escape artist and a magician, but he left home at 12 years old. And I thought, that's got to be my goal. So I did everything I could to earn money. I did babysitting. If I saw somebody shoveling snow, I would say, I'm so good at that. You should let me shovel it. If I saw someone raking leaves or painting something, I was like, oh, I'm so good at that. And then people would let me do it, and they'd give me money. And I don't know how, they said, how much do you want? I said, I didn't know how much people are supposed to get. So I just said, whatever you can afford. And I probably got more than they would normally pay anybody. But once I saved up $3,000, I thought, that's it. I'm going to hit the road as soon as I get the opportunity. And that's even after my dad, who was a very terrible alcoholic. He would steal my money whenever he found it. So most of the time I carried my money with me, so he couldn't get to it. And then I discovered at my house, my mom had this old pair of curtains in the living room that were those old, like a brocade curtain, but the hem of it had a big fat hem. And I would tuck the bills into the hem of that curtain, and nobody knew it was there. Who would expect that it would be there? So That's a little hint if anybody needs to hide some money somewhere. And so my girlfriend's older brother was bragging that he was going to be driving a little red sports car to New York City for a car dealer to sell. And I said, ask him if he'll take me with him. And she said, what? I said, I want to go to New York. And she said, why? I said, you know my life. I can't live here anymore. I want to go. I can't help anybody out being here. I don't think this is not working out. So he said, yeah, come on. That'll be company on the ride. Yeah, let's go. So I get there. He's like, oh, what are we going to do? The whole trip, he never asked me, what are you going to do when we get there? You know? And then I said, I got to find a place to live. So I said, we have to find a newspaper. Well, needless to say, New York has newspapers down on every corner just about.
Right.
So I picked up, I went to the newsstand, and there's a newspaper called Showbiz Newspaper. What? It was like a miracle. You know, it was like everything was opening. My world was now all changing. Everything was changing. In the back of the paper, it had an ad for 3 gals that were looking for another roommate, and the rent was $150 a month. My share of the rent was $150. That means I'm fine. If I don't get any bookings or any jobs, I'm okay. So now I had to find out, how am I going to do this showbiz thing? So fortunately, the gals that I was staying with were all in the business. They were all actors, actresses, and dancers, singers. So they said, well, you need a resume. And I said, oh, okay, what's that? So they said, you don't have a resume? No, I don't have a resume. What do I do? So they put together the resume, and honest to gosh, I wish I had that original resume, because it's got to be hilarious. I said, what do I put on there? She said, you just make it up. They don't read it. Honestly, I wish I had the original resume, because it had to be hilarious. And so they told me that about doing the go-sees. You have to do the go-sees. You have to go from agent to agent to agent. They all have the work. You don't just, work doesn't come to you. You have to go get it. So I found out where back in the day they had a thing called the telephone book, and everybody's name was in the book. So you could look
Categorized.
Categorize, theatrical agents, and so you could go from agent's office to agent's office. So that was my plan. Every day I'd get up in the morning and I'd have a schedule. I'm going to go to this area, then I'm going to go to that area, and
they're mostly in one area anyway.
It's pretty convenient. And so going to all the agents' office, I would guess who I would run into every once in a while.
Who? Oh, I would never have guessed.
There I was looking for some of the same jobs or different jobs.
With his picture and resume. And the funny thing is, every time you go to the agent's office, even though you go every other day, it doesn't matter how often you go, they say, oh, can I have a picture and resume? And like, what did they do with the last one I gave them? We know, that was threw it away. So it's just a thing that they do. So until you really get recognized, and how do you get recognized? You got to get booked. So you've got to just keep getting in their face. And as soon as you get one booking, then you got to brag about it, and then you get the next one. Well, I found out about auditions, and it turns out the Westchester Department of Parks had an audition for people who were looking for entertainment in the parks for the whole summer. So it was 30 shows to start with. Yeehaw! I had no idea what a good deal that was. And so I went to audition, and it was this big open room. It was like an empty office room with a long table and 3 clipboards and 3 chairs. And the people came walking in and sat in the chairs and picked up their pencils, and now they're going to make notes on my act, right? And I went, oh boy. So I just took a deep breath and I said, this is not going to play well. They're going to sit there, with their clipboards and not looking, and I don't know what this is. So I said to them, please forgive me, but what you want is someone like me. I'm an entertainer, and I think that what you want is someone to entertain families in the parks. So if you wouldn't mind, it would be wonderful for me, and probably for you too, if you could play like you are the audience in the park. And because there's nothing, there are no notes that you need to take. It's all visual. You're just gonna, and honestly, if you see something funny, please giggle, please laugh. And if you see something that's amazing, it's okay to go, it's okay to respond. And if you see something wonderful, amazing, if you clap your hands, it makes me even better. And everything will build on that. So they went, they're like, I don't know, what do you think? I don't know, what do you think? I don't know, what do you think? And so they said, all right, okay. They put the pencils down and they sat back and they watched the show. And they were a really good audience. They applauded, laughed. It was great. So at the end of my act, they said, oh, okay. So could you wait in the hallway for a few minutes and we'll call you back in? So it wasn't even 5 minutes. They called me back in and said, so what does your schedule look like for the summer? From now, from June all the way to Labor Day. What's your schedule look like? And I said, you know what? I really want this gig, so I will replace everything else. I will get other people to do all of the jobs that I have, because I really want to do this one. So if you'll have me, I would love to do it. And truth is, I didn't have any. I had no shows.
I think they somehow probably figured that out too.
but I'll tell you, it was a really fabulous. I mean, there I am. I'm working in the parks. So you're on your own out there. You just show up, and there's no technician. There's no guy with the mic. You bring what you're going to do, and that's you. And so the show has to go or fail on your ability to do it. So it was an extremely wonderful experience. And so working in the parks was awesome. And then at the end of the summer, but also during the summer, different people dropped out or they got rid of them. So they had me fill in on other shows throughout the summer. So I really did very well. And I made enough money to survive for a whole nother year. It was like, woohoo. I'm not kidding. It was like,
And the funny thing is, I was doing the exact same kind of work and exact same kind of jobs at the same time. It was like karma. It was amazing.
Now, at the end of the summer, they said, is it okay with you if we recommend you to the Department of Education? And I said, oh, I would love that. And I put together a show for the schools called Believe in Yourself. And it was kind of like telling my story about, you find out who you are, believe that you can do that, and find out how to do it, and do it as the best that you can possibly do it. Nowadays, kids have access to the internet, and the library system nowadays is, holy cow, it's way above and beyond anything you could ever dream of. And so figure out what you want to do. And whether it's like, I'm a magician, that's what I want to do. It doesn't have to be magic, whatever is in your heart. And so, yeah, I did a lot of school shows.
What a wonderful kind of inspirational story, because, people back in the day, and I don't mean that far back in the day, had to earn their spurs or their stripes, if you like, by doing exactly that. You go there and you have the courage to say to three people with clipboards, look, let's just let me do my thing, So that in itself kind of says a lot. I want to take you to a little story that I want you to tell, where you put a sister of yours in the sewed basket, right? Tell us that story. What happened after you put swords in the sewed basket?
It wasn't my sister. I put together. I love the stage illusions, and so I had we bought a basket illusion, the sword basket. And they come with 4 swords and a spear, like a rod that goes down the middle. And I thought, this looks very hokey. It looks like there's a lot of room in there. So I redesigned it so that it takes 12 swords and the spear. And so my lovely assistant was a woman, a young gal. And so I put her in the basket, and the music is playing, and we're doing the thing. So I went to put the swords in, and there's one, there's another one, and she was wearing a wig. That a lot of women did that back then. And so I went to put one sword in, and her wig went flying out the other end at the end of the sword. And then her
her hand reached out and grabbed the wig. It's hilarious. And I thought, should I keep that in the act? Because that's funny. That's hilarious.
I mean, people would kill to script something like that. And sometimes these things just happen, like the stories you hear from occasionally of people, the dove takes off, circles around, comes back, does a tap dance on the stage, and then walks into the cage. That kind of, you can't script it. You can't do it. What I want to do is there was a famous gentleman whose name escapes me, did a wonderful painting of Schwarzenegger as Conan the Barbarian. But he also came and spoke to you, and I think you were a little bit, quite rightly, hesitant at the time. Who are you and why do you want to paint me? But let's pull up this painting of you. I think it's absolutely stunning, and I think he's captured your spirit in this painting. Wow, look at that.
Hubba hubba.
Exactly. But the way he's laid it out, the way he's laid it out, that really captures pretty much a lot of what you were talking about, your spirit, your drive, if you like, that kind of wow, this is me and this is what I do, the enthusiasm and everything else. I mean, obviously, yes, we saw you, as you had developed in your career and became famous, etc., doing the bullet catch and everything else. I left the clip on from another show because, Montel got you to explain very well that, you caught it in a metal cup. Now, to me, and I suspect probably a few other folks like me have been around for a little while, I've always thought, what? Catching a bullet in your teeth is nice, but it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make sense. You can't.
It doesn't make any sense. It's going to break your teeth. I don't care if it's a simple 2-2 or a slug from an air gun. It's going to break your teeth.
It's going to hurt a lot.
You came up with this incredible idea, which makes this plausible. It's what I call plausible magic, where you went, but I have a metal cup that catches that. Now, how cool is that? Wonderful. Wonderful.
The thing is, it's still dangerous because if they're off, they're going to hit me in the head. And number two, if the cup is too solid and too stiff, the bullet has a chance of going in and kicking right out. And then there's no evidence that you actually did it. If it's on the floor, it looks like that's just where he aimed it to go to the floor.
Yeah.
So that was a big problem. So I don't want to go into the details of the cup.
No, you shouldn't.
Anybody else to do it. Please, please, if you're thinking about doing it, don't. There's a lot
many
of
years later, David Blaine and Chris Angel, they actually copied that concept of catching it in a metal cup rather than in your teeth. So she was the innovator, though. Of that
exactly, and that's why I brought it up, Dick, because the former president of the Magic Circle, Scott Penrose, I mean, he did one with a couple of dueling pistols, and it all looked very theatrical and very excellent. But you do yours with a rifle, and then Houston gentleman, which Gene Protus is here who will know, Banachek, he had a version which he kind of shared with Penn and Teller when he was with them, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to make this point because we have a lot of magicians watching. Do something that's plausible. Having a metal cup in your mouth to catch a bullet makes sense. It just makes sense.
Yeah,
so,
well,
however,
when Chung Ling Soo did it, he caught it in a plate, which also didn't make sense to me because it's also automatically going to fall. Like you have to catch it or break. If it's a ceramic plate, surely it's going to break.
Right.
So I don't know what the effect is. But in the meantime, he died from doing the bullet catch in 1918. So Houdini said that Chung Ling Soo got so much publicity from that Houdini said, I'm going to do the bullet catch stunt. So he started working on it and trying to figure it out. And everybody around him said, don't do it, man. It's dangerous. Plus, in the United States, this was the Wild West back then. Everybody had a gun. It wasn't like a few people had guns. And over my life, people have said to me, hey, you're that gal that does the bullet catch. I got a gun. You want to try it?
I know.
I'm not kidding. This is
no, I believe you. I believe you. Yeah.
So,
because this is what happened to Houdini. He wasn't prepared and the kid punched him in the stomach. I mean, he got peritonitis. So when you're not prepared, as you say, people come up and say these stupid things, like, yeah, well, I got this and I got a 303 bolt action or whatever, but well, back in that day, they didn't have, 357 Magnums, but you know what I'm saying? People are kind of, for want of a better word, stupid. They just come up and, can you do this? Can you do this? And you go, yes, I can. Buy a friggin' ticket. Come watch the show. Speaking of Houdini, I want to pull up, particularly because, the show is about the SAM and the SAM assembly, etc., which everybody in the SAM, and particularly our current president, I was hoping he'd be here, but I think he's preparing for his son's wedding, if I'm not mistaken. We're already involved, and it took them 12 years before the U.S. Postal Service went, yeah, okay, we'll do it. And through all those efforts, if some of you folks watching haven't seen it, this is the Houdini stamp that the SAM managed to actually get up there. And that's what it looks like. You can actually buy it. When it came out, I was very fortunate with a wonderful friend who's no longer with us in New York, who got a kind of first day issue and put half a dozen of these stamps on it and stamped it and sent it over to me. And while we're talking about him, and we've got Dorothy and Dick here, I want to pull up a shot of the actual Machpelah Cemetery in Queens, which shows, for some of you who have not seen it, that's what it looks like as you walk in. Okay. Now, look very, very carefully. There's a figure of a weeping lady. And as your eye goes upwards, you see a kind of little round orangey thing. I'll tell you what that is in a minute. And above it, there's nothing. And the reason I'm drawing attention to that will become apparent in a little bit. And over on the ground, on my right of the screen, is Beatrice, commonly known as Bess Houdini. Only a very good historian and wonderful performer called Bobby Takova in New York, who knows these things, told me she's not actually buried there. And the reason for that is that that's a Jewish cemetery and she was not Jewish. So that's the cemetery. Now, Dorothy will tell you, and I'm sure quite a lot of us watching know this, that Erich Weiss, the Austro-Hungarian, took the name of Harry Houdini, which he got from Jean-Robert Houdin, as some of you will know, and he made it into Houdini. And we have a still, which I thought was very appropriate as Dorothy and Dick were on the show, to pull up, and that's the actual still that's on a building in France, which shows Jean-Eugène Robert Houdin. Incidentally, Houdin was not his name. Houdin was his wife's name, and he had this wonderful idea of adopting his wife's name rather than the other way around, which most people do, take the husband's name. So, and I think we've got another one because Dorothy's here, and I'm going to get her to talk about all of this in a little bit, but I just wanted to share some of these with you while Dorothy and Dick are here. We've got another one with Houdini himself and his younger brother, who sort of carried on his act, which is, there they are. And we have another one, which I know where this is, and it is for sale. And it's in a place in England, actually owned by Roy Davenport of the famous Davenports in England, magic shops, rather. And this is a young Houdini that comes out. Not too many people have seen it. They say that was his signature. I have no idea, but I just thought it was a great picture. We go back to the cemetery, and this is kind of like for want of a better word, I guess, the architect's plan, the layout, the drawings of the cemetery, how it was done. Then you can see up there the lady on your screen, the statue kind of weeping there, and how the whole thing was. And I figured this was kind of interesting because just the diagram of the actual gravesite, and we'll come to that in a minute. And I was very, very privileged when I went to New York a few years ago, and I was a house guest of George Schindler, who many of you will know is our current dean of the whole of the SAM. And he said to me, would you like to go visit Houdini's gravesite? And I went, great, who do I kill? Anyway, there we are. And I'm pointing to that mosaic for a very good reason, because if you look very closely, you will see the inside of it. You can't read the outside, but the inside of it has actually got the SAM logo. And then, of course, George and I love mischief. And George said to me, come over here by the gate. This was the entrance to the cemetery. And I just want to share it with my pals, that's all. And he's got the chains and the lock from the gate. And then guess what he did next? Yeah, right. There it is. Mount Pocket Cemetery. I know. Crazy, isn't it? Crazy. And he said, well, get out of that. And well, yeah, I did. But if you look kind of in the background, there's the gravesite and the bust, and the bust is kind of missing at the moment, which I want to talk to you about a little bit, because we're going to pull up a picture now of Dorothy, Dick, and another lady called Kim actually sitting on the gravesite. There it is. Okay. Now, what some of you folks may not know, that for some time now, both Dick and Dorothy have spent a tremendous amount of time and energy making repairs or getting repairs fixed, not physically doing it themselves, with architects and folks who know these things, the little crack there. And the SAM does what it can to help. But these two folks that you're talking to today, or I'm talking to, and you'll talk to them later, have gone through a lot of work. And here it is with the bust, which from time to time is removed because it used to be vandalized. But I want to draw attention to the lady sitting next to Dorothy. I don't recall her last name, but I know her first name is Kim. And I want Dorothy to tell you what that lady's expertise is, if you would, Dorothy.
Kim Hogan is a mosaic artist, and she's amazing. She's absolutely incredible. And I had contacted her about the Houdini mosaic at the gravesite because it's in bad shape. It needs to be repointed, or whatever they called to make it all secure again. There are a lot of things that are wrong with it, without going into a lot of detail and taking too much time, but it needs a lot of work so that it doesn't degrade any more than it already is. And at one point there were like little stones that were starting to disappear. People are taking souvenirs, so that wouldn't be possible if it was done properly. So our mission was to have her come and give us an estimate and tell us how much it would be to make that totally back to normal again. And
she works for museums and things like that. She's really great.
She currently has contracts with cities where she goes in and does those solid murals in towns. Mm-hmm. So I told her, as soon as she has a date open, please consider us and put us in for that, because I don't think anybody could do a better job than you. And so whatever money it's going to take to do, I think before I leave this world, I would like to see it done, and I would like her to be the person that does it. And because I think it would be a treasure that could last for another 100 years, hopefully.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think I've told you this privately, and I'll say it publicly. Count me in, and whatever fundraising you want to do, be it a show that we put on Zoom, whatever. I mean, we can do that. I'm all for it, and I dare say we have many members, compeers in the SAM who would kind of gladly join me in trying to help in whatever way we possibly can. Now, I want to take you a little bit, while we're still on Houdini, to the seances. I mean, Sidney Redner used to do those, etc., and then he passed. You mentioned dear Walter Gibson, who influenced you back in the day. So let's just pull up that picture of you and Dick at a seance. And while that's up there, if folks recall, I said, please make a note of the time. And if you look at the clock on the left of the picture, it says 1:26. Now, talk to us a little bit about the seances that you used to do and hold.
Well, we do them every year. We've been doing it since the 1970s. And Walter B. Gibson was a dear friend of Houdini's, and Bess, of course. And so he was at most of the seances that she did. And so once she did it for 10 years, and the idea was Houdini wanted it done with the idea that if the great Houdini does not return from the beyond, the world should know to stop spending your money on all these people who are claiming to be communicating with the dead, because they're just taking your money. They're not real. And so after the first 10 years, Beatrice realized that doing the seances is a way of telling that story to the public every single year. So it brings back that whole history, and it's very valuable. And she thought she wanted it to go on, but
and also, by the way, keep Houdini's name alive to the general public.
But it was heartbreaking for her to continue.
Yes.
So she asked Walter to be in charge of it. So Walter did it in New York and several places. He did it in apartments, and he once did it in a restaurant, once did it in a ballroom area, but always very quiet and not like making a big deal out of it, you know, inviting a few people that he felt were friends. And Houdini's concept was, don't do it with the idea that you're going to do hokey magic and make me appear through magic. If I don't appear, I don't appear. That's it. Then that's the message, that he can't come back. However, if he comes back, what are you going to do about that? I don't know. So anyway, and so since that time, Walter did it, and we attended most of his. Ever since I was a kid, I attended his seances. And once he got up in years, he said, listen, I don't know in life what's going to happen to me. And it was hard for him to come down from, he at that point was in Eddyville, New York. So it was a bit of a trip for him to come down to the city. And he did it with us at the Magic Townhouse, which we wanted to do we wanted to have a theater of our own. So we were looking all over the city to try and find a venue, and it turns out that Eddie Davis, who was not a magician, but he practiced magic, he had a vision to do a theater, a magic theater, and a magic place. So he had started one and wasn't doing well because it wasn't his thing. So we went and I had the summer off one year, and I said, you know what, let me do the shows. Me and Dick will do the shows, and we don't charge you anything. We're trying to promote the place, and you've got to help us pay for the publicity, though, you know. So we did all kinds of promotion and got all kind of great publicity. And then we told him, listen, if you ever want to sell it, please consider us first. So only 1 year after he started it, he was ready to sell it. So we bought it from Eddie, and so that's where we did the seances for all those years that we were in New York until 1989. 1988, I think, was our last one there, and then we moved to Pennsylvania. The problem was our rent went from $4,800 a month to $30,000 a month. So
wow, that's a leap.
Yeah. So needless to say, that wasn't doable. So we realized that we started looking for another place to rent and said that this is not possible. Everything you find, they only want to give you a 3 to 5 year lease. And that's nothing. That takes no time to go through that. And every time you get a new lease, it's going to be higher rent. So we said we have to buy a place, and we could not afford New York City. So we looked in the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, the Staten Island, looked everywhere around the New York area, and then Westchester, and everything was too affordable for too little, too much money for too little. And so we went to Jersey and started drawing the circle around the city and said, all right, let's find a place that has connection to Houdini, where Houdini performed in that town. And so the circles got bigger and bigger to the point where Scranton hit the map. And so we looked around Scranton, found a place, and it was affordable. Oh, shucks, I should have sent you the pictures of what it looked like when we bought it.
Before and after, yeah.
It was not pretty.
It was a fixer-upper, so you can imagine.
When it rained outside, it
pretty
rained
much.
here. Yeah. It was raining. Whenever the rain happened, it was all over it. So it was a big job. And it took us a year with really constant work and several contractors to get it all done. And so we're still here.
And there's still work.
I'm still here. Well, as some people may know who are watching, on the first floor in the Devant room at the Magic Circle, as you walk in, there's a bust of Devant, and he's got the balls in his fingers, etc. And over in the corner, there's a huge glass thing, which kind of looks like the underwater escape tank. And in it is about yay high, about 3 feet, and that's it. There's a little dummy doll in a straitjacket, but of Houdini, of course. But just sort of underneath it is an ancient phonograph of his voice on wax, one of those cylinders, not even an old 78. It's on a wax cylinder. And we were talking about this the other day, and you mentioned something, and I went, great, I want that. And you very kindly sent me a little mini tour of your museum, let's just call it that, shall we? Now, there's no sound on it. And what I would love you and Dick to do, if you'd be so kind, is as we're playing it, just kind of talk us through it as it's playing, if you would, please.
Well, we have 3 floors. There's the theater, the history room, and the prop room. The room that you're going to be seeing now is the prop room because it's loaded with all kinds of artifacts. And that's the water torture cell. There's Houdini's bust. There's
posters all around.
The posters relating to the water torture cell. And on that wall, look at Houdini's mother and father.
That's his father there.
Oh, wow.
And that's from Houdini's house.
There's a milk can escape right there. That's the beer barrel challenge he did in Scranton, Pennsylvania. There's a tiny bust that was a replica of the one that Beatrice
and there's the straitjacket
put together. And there's a small bust that his wife put together that she could give out to people that came to her seance. So we have that. We had several of them in our collection. So we did make a mold of that. And that bust is one that I made. Yeehaw! Yippee!
Well done. The closest I ever got to anything like that, remotely even resembling it, is when blessings for his memory, when dear Noel Nielsen was alive, and whenever I was in Vegas, would go visit him and Lupe, and he took me to his museum, which was kind of like, those of you been there will know, it's sort of away from the house, and there's this gigantic poster. It must be, what, I don't know, 12, 15 feet high and about 8 feet wide. And that's the only thing I'm standing next to with Norman. Got to take a picture, got to take a picture. You do, like when you're a kid, I was a kid. I was a 60-year-old kid at the time. So I am definitely, I don't have a bucket list anymore, but I do now. And guess what's on it? Guess what's on it? Where I'm going to visit. You bet. Right. Okay. So I'm sure we can do that. Now, you've I could like talk with you guys for hours about everything, but you have some fun stories with so many major names that you met and became great friends with. And we can't possibly not talk about him. And that is the legend for over 100 years of the great John Calvert.
That was a treasure.
Yeah.
That was
you guys helped each other with shows and loading stuff and unloading stuff. And, tell us a little bit about those adventures.
Yeah. If you don't know about John Calvert, he was an incredible person. He actually was in a couple of movies, and he had that Hollywood style about him. When he's the kind of person that when he entered the room, everybody goes, "Oh, who's that?" He was very, very charismatic and handsome. And when he did his show, he was the great I am. And his wife, Tammy, was a tiny little gal. And he was always the guy who would drive to the job. He would load the props in, load the props out. He would set up the stage and do everything. Well, when he got older, he couldn't do that anymore. And so it was all on Tammy. So anytime they were on the East Coast, we would drive, even if it was for several hours, we would drive to go help her out.
And escort them around and help them out. It was amazing.
And so, yeah, that was a great thrill. And by the end of his life, he was starting to get forgetful, but not bad for a guy that age. And he was on stage, he
worked till he was over 100.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
He was doing the lazy man's trick where you have a long rope and you get 2 gals up from the audience and you have them holding the rope. he ties a scarf on one end, a scarf on the other end, and there's a magic wand in the middle that's tied on. And the idea is the music goes on, the girls are dance, kind of bebopping, and
Mm-hmm.
then he does the magic pass, and the ropes are supposed to, the magic wand, he takes out the magic wand, and the scarves are supposed to vanish, and, not vanish, but untie. And so he forgot that it's not going to work unless you take the magic wand out of the rope.
Right.
It was over 100 at the time.
So I'm backstage, and Tammy is panicking. She's going, he's got to take out, and he's saying, John, take the wand, John, and he's not doing it. And I said, okay, kiddo, you're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to act like this is normal. You go out and say, and now I'll take the magic wand. And you take it like you always act. It's always the way it's done. And she went out there and now I'll take the magic wand. And she pulled it out. And of course it worked. And John Calvert is like, like he looked at her like, what are you doing out here? And the audience is applauding, and it went fast. But I tell you, we treasure every moment we had with those two. They were so fun. And Tammy's around. She
still is. Yes. I mean, they were. I mean, let's not mince words here. We don't have many royalty in magic, but he definitely was royalty in magic. There's no question about it. The man was always. I mean, I've never met him, but you look at him and you say he had a presence about him. He had a sartorial elegance. He always looked.
Yeah, he pulled that
classy.
off.
He was classy, and that's what you need. I mean, okay, it's a little bugbear of mine. Unless you're David Blaine, don't wear torn jeans and a t-shirt. I love meeting with these folks from back in the day who had these experiences, who understood the craft, which then makes you into the artist, as opposed to what dear Eugene used to describe as being a magician or a trickster. I know which one I've chosen, but hey, to each his own. I'm not going to leave you with Houdini, because you're a great inventor and figure out all kinds of things. And I want you to talk about a game that most of us know, but not the way you've done it.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Yo, he's actually got one. That's very cool. That's very cool. You know why I love this man? Because he and I share a passion for mischief, or the mischief of magic, just like Eugene did. Oh, there's the still. I mean, let's just leave it on there for a little bit and watch it. I mean, just look at that. Dorothy and Dick designed this as a game. I mean, just look at it. You can't escape the fun. And there's a little SAM logo for all our compares who are watching. If you're not a member of the SAM, well, I told you, ask me about it, or Joel in the meet and greet in a minute. We'll tell you about it and all the goodies that you get from it. So look at that. I mean, how cool is that? Just take a look at that. I mean, it's just splendid. Now, Dorothy's actually got one opened, and she's going to actually show us and explain it to us as to what happens with the game. Yeah, it's Monopoly, but it's a little bit more than that.
Well, that's the thing. The Monopoly games are pretty simple looking, and this is what you get in the box. A lot of goodies, and every ounce of it. The bills, the dollar bills, are all with different characters from Houdini's life. Mm-hmm. Each one has, like, there's the 10, the 50. Like what we did, we put a 0 at the end of each of the bills to bring it up a little bit more modern time. Mm-hmm. So they start with a $10 bill and go up to a $5,000 bill. Yeah. And then all of the cards are all, let's see.
Houdini-fied.
They're all about Houdini. And
yeah, I like Dick's description. They're all Houdini-fied. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then on the back of each of those cards has the more information. Oh. Everything that about the game is mm-hmm. going to educate you about Houdini. Now, when you go around the board, open the board up again and show you. What I thought was, back in the old days, I wanted it to have the feeling of that period. But you know, when you go to any old city, anywhere in the world, the the buildings usually have an iron gate around the
Right.
property.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had that designed so that all the way around there is an iron gate, but can you see there's a number on the gate, and
Oh,
that
yeah.
number is not an address. That's the date of the event that's happening at that part of the board. So it goes
Oh,
from the
wow.
beginning of his life all the way around, and whenever there's not a date that's appropriate, then there is a Diamonds Hearts Club Spade symbol on that gate.
And the board tells his whole life story from beginning to end. It's like doing the Houdini tour at the museum, actually.
Wow. Can people get hold of one of these? I mean, do you still have some that you could sell them or whatever?
Houdiniopoly.com.
Oh, Houdini. Say that again. Slow.
Houdiniopoly.com.
Houdiniopoly.com. As it's in the the still that Joel's got up there, and I'm sure Joel will put that in the chat as well. Please, Joel. Houdiniopoly. I mean, it's easy enough to remember.
And it's a limited edition. So once they're sold out, we won't make any more. So it's going to be a real collectible.
Right. I can imagine. So, I know there's a couple of, well, Joel's already put it in the chat. And it's easy enough to remember. Houdiniopoly. That's it. .com. It's fairly easy to remember. It's in the chat. Now, we've just been chatting here for about 6 or 7 minutes, but an hour and something has gone by. Now, yeah, exactly.
4 hours left, though.
If it was up to me, I just like to sit here and just chew the fat forever and just listen to great stories of yours. I may even twist your arm into bringing you back just to tell some stories and another one. What I'd like to do now, I'm sorry, say again, please.
Be a thrill to come back.
Oh, you bet it will for us, for me.
And an honor as well.
Well, I am absolutely, totally honored that, you took the time and the effort to come over here today. So, for me, from the heart, both personally and professionally, I want to say thanks. Oh, you're holding up stories for kids who dare to be different. That's absolutely very important. I think I would be right in saying that the majority of our viewers today have one thing in common, magic perhaps, but certainly one thing in common, and that was that we were all different in one form or another. We were different. We were different. And it wasn't till a little while after I grew up in my teen years, I found out, hey, guess what? They have got round holes. I don't need to fit in the squares that they tell me. And if they don't have round holes, I can drill one and fit into that. And then, of course, we then meet other magicians and other people, and you go. And as C.S. Lewis once rightly wrote, and if you don't know who he is, I'm sure many of you do, but if you don't, he wrote the Narnia Chronicles, actually said, the true sign of friendship begins when you meet somebody and you look, oh, wow, you too? Wow, great. Okay. Yeah. It's almost like meeting a blood relative that you knew nothing about. So I think, this wonderful world of magic, and particularly through Zoom, which was thrust upon us because of all the problems going on in the world, we're allowed to meet and chat with people. But how wonderful is it to sit here and have, friends and folks just come in and share just that little tiny percent of your life, how you dared to be different, how you dared to just go, okay, I'm going to do this. You go to New York, give me a ride in your car. And I don't know about the rest of the world, but my philosophy is that my grandpa used to say, the canoe ain't going to paddle itself, Mita Koja. You have to get in it. It ain't going anywhere. It's there. You got the paddle. It ain't going anywhere by itself. Get in it. The moment you do that, the universe says, hey, look at you doing it. We'll cut you some breaks. Yeah, okay, ups and downs and everything else. And we all go through that as showbiz people and just human beings. But at the end of the day, when you weigh it up, I think you'll agree, the universe kind of goes, you had the spirit courage to do it. I'm going to cut you some breaks. And I think in some small way, your story and your inspiration has probably said to people watching today and who will watch the tape afterwards to sit back and go, wow, if Dorothy Dietrich can do that, I can. And it's an inspiration. And how cool is that to have Tony Curtis narrate your Straitjacket Escape? I mean, it's cool to do something like that, but yeah.
Yeah, but what did you think of the outfit, though? What did you think of the outfit? Come on.
You mean mine?
Well, yours? No, I mean, I
No,
love your outfit. You know
silver
that.
Spacesuit. The silver.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. I noticed that. That's right. Yeah, William Shatner. Never heard of him. Did he go off to space? Never heard of him. Right? No, you were doing that silver spacesuit stuff. Back in the day, and that's.
You had that specially designed.
Well, I designed the suit.
I can imagine that because, magic is being meticulous. It's paying attention to detail, and that separates the pros. I think you'll agree with me on this. That separates the real, I hope you will anyway, separates the real pros from that, well, hey, yeah, I'll just go in there and throw a few things together, and kick the dove over and do its thing. Yeah. It's an art. It's craft. And then we have to show the universe that we want to become artists and, move to that notch. And in some small way, because we didn't have enough time, you have been so kind to show us that is exactly what you've done. And I just want to say, I've told you before and I'll say it again, I'm not embarrassed to do it. I'm a little kid around you. And we've had wonderful conversations and stuff preparing for this. And yeah, from my heart, personally, and of course, professionally, thank you so much. Huge thanks to Joel. I'm sure he's want to jump in and thank you personally because you've hung out in his house in the Batcave and things like that. And I think this might be a good time if we open up the chat and the mics, and everybody here, please feel free to join the meet and greet. That's what it is. Joel has a different phrase. What do you call it, Joel?
Schmooze and mingle.
There you go. Okay. So open up your mics and, please chat directly with Dorothy and Dick.
So Anthony, it's also important to note that we have a partnership with the Society of American Magicians now to continue work on the Houdini gravesite. And currently there's a real problem, which is a crack has developed. If you look at the very center of that big structure, right on the right side of the SAM mosaic, there is a crack that's developed from the front of the monument through the granite all the way to the back side of the granite. So we are trying as hard as we can to find the proper company to work on it. And honestly, it's difficult because every time I get into a situation with a company, they end up sounding like this is too iffy for me and I back off again. So if anybody knows of a company that we could trust, that's what's happening now. And I think for the winter months this year, I think we're just going to caulk the crack so that we don't rush it and get the wrong company to do it.
And so no water gets in it, because if water gets in it, it'll freeze and expand and increase the crack. And if it goes all the way to the ground, we're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, then you've got impossible.
So,
if it goes all the way through, then it's a massive problem.
Yeah. Well, I think, anybody in the U.S., or if you know somebody living elsewhere outside of the U.S. who will, maybe do it as a favor, if you like.
Well, they could do it as a donation if they donate it.
Yeah, if you have the right skilled person. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nonprofit. So, please get in touch with Dorothy and, just put the person in touch. Joel, yes, sir.
Anthony, yes. I just want to, first of all, I want to say thank you for Dick and Dorothy. It's awesome. And I cannot wait till the museum opens, and everyone here and everyone watching this episode should make it a point to go to that museum and see when it opens underneath there. But also, you all can donate to the cemetery restoration by going to magicsam.com. And there's an area there that allows you to donate to the restoration of this amazing place, and to really help out with that. So
that would be great.
Well, I've got a plan hatching in the back of my head, which, contrary to popular opinion, I do need 2 hours sleep sometimes. Not even every day, but sometimes. But I've got a plan hatching in the back of my head where we want to do like a gala show or some such thing to see if we can do a little bit of fundraising to help with this project. And before I let you all loose talking to Dorothy, I just want to acknowledge Milena, who I met the other day, who says, I'm lying low with a cold. Anyway, I'm glad you're here and you were inspired by Dorothy. You don't have to have your camera on if you're lying low, but if you want to speak to her, please feel free. And of course, to a very, very dear friend of mine, Crow XP, who shows up occasionally. She's not a magician, but she loves magic and things like that. Did I mention Rolf, who I also met the other day? And Paul Abbey, of course, who is our SAM International Assembly envoy in England. I mentioned Kevin and Harriet and of course Jean, etc., and Donna and some of the other folks. And I just want to pull up, if you would please, Joel, on screen, the president-elect of the Society of American Magicians, Mr. Rothschild from Canada.
Thank you, Anthony. It's such a great pleasure to be here on this Darkstone Dossier with Dorothy and Dick. Wonderful, Dorothy and Dick. Thank you for sharing your stories. So, Anthony, another excellent Darkstone Dossier. Yeah, so thank you again,
Sure.
Thank you again, Dick and Dorothy.
Thank you. Is there a video of you doing the FISM? Your act at the FISM?
Not yet, no.
I want to see that.
You might well, because I know the producer of the next International Assembly Gala show. I look at him every morning when I shave. and I might twist Rod's arm into doing that on a December or January gala show. So I'm glad there isn't a video of it out. I've seen it. I've seen the act. I've seen him perform it. And yes, it is definitely worth watching.
Kevin Peel has a question.
Yeah. Oh, well, welcome, Kevin. Yeah. Kevin's our latest member in the SAM. He joined us.
Hi there. Hiya. Just a very quick question for now. Think of others later on. But if I've just been having on the website for the Houdiniopoly. I said it. There we go. Got the wrong teeth in. So it doesn't show you how to buy it outside of the USA. If you could give us the USPS shipping costs to the UK, that would be cool.
Good question. I don't even know.
And also, can I just jump in as well that I couldn't find a price?
Oh, it's not on Houdiniopoly.com?
I couldn't find any prices. $50 for the actual board.
$50. Now, if you look on the site, there's also a picture with all little tiny pawns.
I found that bit.
That one, we developed those for certain people who donated a certain dollar amount, but we have a few left. So until those run out, we still have those available, and it's only $20 for that set. So that's worth having for that special set.
However, I'm not sure, but shipping overseas has gotten very prohibitive. So I'm not sure how viable getting it shipped to England or places like that. It may be prohibitive.
I've just bought 3 books from the Houdini Magic Store, the online store, 3 copies of the Jinx books, and that cost me $50, I think, shipping.
And books have a special rate.
I just bought the game, and I bought the game with the pieces. So your website works perfectly. It's $65 for the game itself. It's, I think, $85 with the pieces. That includes shipping. And both of my PayPal transactions went through perfectly. Thank you very much. But what I did was I bought the one with the pieces, and then I said, I think I want an extra game. So I bought that. Now, my question to you is this. I did 2 separate transactions on PayPal, but will you combine shipping? Since I paid $15 for both, can you do that?
If they're shipped at the same time, yes.
Both orders just went in within the last
Oh, okay.
5 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No
So-
problem.
Yeah.
And I'll put it in the chat. Thanks a
Well,
million.
It's a good
Great.
thing.
I'm going to jump in here for a minute because this is my good buddy Gene from Texas. I mean, really good buddy. I mean, you know, we've hung out. I've been a house guest with him and all kinds of things. And he saved my life. Well, not literally, but yeah. Well, once literally, yeah, he forced me onto his friggin' boat. But that's another story. No, the reason I brought this up is that Gene is in the US. He's in Texas. If you, and this is entirely up to Dorothy and Dick, if they want to give you your email, they will put it in chat. If not, you can email me with anything and I will forward it on to them. So this is entirely up to Dorothy
There
and
should be a
Dick.
phone number there. You can always call us. as
Oh, well, there you go. Right. Yeah.
And our website is houdini.org. So that's real simple to find.
Oh,
And,
okay.
Yeah, you can find us easily.
Yeah. So,
Paul, Abby has a question. Paul.
Hey, Paul, good to see you.
Nice to meet you, Dick and Dorothy,
Hi.
all the way from Surrey in UK here. I
Oh
can't.
man, we want to come over.
You're very
I
welcome.
love that.
If you ever
We
come
were
over,
there and we
then-
loved it when we were there.
well, you come over again and catch up with me as I'm the English envoy, and I can show you around lovely Guildford, historic Guildford, because I'm actually a borough councillor.
Remember Bobby Bernard?
Oh,
Bobby-
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
He was a dear friend, and
Yeah.
He took us all over the place.
Yeah, miss Bobby terribly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a lot of time. We had a lot of time with each other.
Yeah.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
How have you been?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My wife and I, Bobby or Barbara, were at Knott's Berry's farm some years ago when you did the escape off the parachute drop.
Yes.
And also, too, we were very fortunate in having John and Tammy when they were in Atlantic City. We helped them get ready for an IBM convention show, which he had my son help. And we rehearsed with them. Actually, they started the rehearsals in our living room. And from that, we became good friends. And John actually took us with the boat that he called the Magic, where it docked only a few miles from where we lived here outside of Atlantic City.
Oh, wow.
It was nice to hear the interview. I wanted to say hi and hello. I have one quick question for you is how do people find, is it that, are you in Pennsylvania at, what's the city?
Scranton.
Scranton,
In Scranton, how do we find the location of it? Is there sort of an address or a road we can
Yeah.
get to?
Sure. Joe, let me see if I have your info. You know what? Do you go on Facebook? Because you can Facebook text me.
Bobby, I'm sorry. Bobby puts me on Facebook. I'm computer illiterate, to tell you the
so
truth.
whose name is on Facebook? You?
No, my wife, Barbara.
Okay, so it would be under Barbara Festa.
Yes. Well, it's actually something else. I'm not quite sure what the,
It shouldn't be real hard to find, though. If you just type in Houdini Museum, Pennsylvania, you're sure to get us.
that's what I would like to do. Thank you. So it's Houdini
Museum, Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Scranton, Pennsylvania.
And we'll pop right up.
Wonderful. Thank you. We just wanted to say hi and hello and let you know that we've enjoyed the afternoon with you. And you take care.
I wanted to thank you in person for showing me the number blocks that you talk to you more about that when we get a chance.
I would love to. I just made up one there because I had the extra pieces of material around in my shop and I thought it would be nice. I like the idea when the suggestion was to make the strips in color. I made a half a dozen strips. And of course, the way it's all set up and things, I made it so it knocks down and can be used on top of a nightclub stand or even to a larger audience.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I have no qualms about not wanting, I don't want to build anymore. I just wanted to keep that for myself and the secret along with it. And thank you for exposing that to the public to enjoy. It is a great effect. And I thank you for that. We're looking forward to seeing you shortly. My wife and I plan either this year or next year. We always go to either Blue Bell. It's near around in the Lancaster area. So you're really not too far away from there, correct?
Yeah. Now here's a little secret, okay? We have our regular hours that we're open at the museum. However, if someone calls from a corporation or some kind of family reunion or something, we usually ask a price, like if they want us to go perform at their event, we don't say no. We give them a price that we can't refuse, like it's worth doing it. And so then we tell all of our customers that we're sold out that day. So always call first and let us know you're on your way, because it's possible that we're out of town.
We would definitely let you know ahead of schedule, and be looking forward to visit you and seeing the shop in the museum also.
Great.
Listen, take care. Best of luck and good health to both of you.
Thanks for your support.
It's always fun seeing you.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
I see there's a couple of folks here who have their mics off. Michael Kelly, Dear Harriet, Lon Mandrake. Please feel free to engage with Dorothy and Dick directly.
Paul had a question. Paul, Abby, did you have a question or something you said?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't actually get a chance to ask my question. Thanks, Dr. Joel. What I wanted to say was that for my sins, I do escapology as well, and I did a lecture a little while ago. And in the lecture, I got a straitjacket, but I'd never done the thing that you've done, Dorothy, hanging upside down, because I don't do heights. So how the hell do you do that? How did you get your head around the heights thing? And what was going through your head the first time you did it?
Well, it's important to know that when I was a kid, I was the tiniest one in my family. I was a shrimp. So I thought that my little brain told me that if I stretch myself, I probably will grow. And so I used to hang by my, the swing sets, they have the 2 rings. I would put my ankles in the rings and just hang upside down and then reach to the ground because I thought I was growing. I kept saying I'm growing. and it turns out that's not the way to grow. Well, wait a minute. I take that back, because who knows, I might be shorter if I had never done that. So yeah, I used to climb trees. I used to do all that kind of thing. I was never afraid of heights. However, when I did the the sky jump, once, I don't know if you noticed, if you watch the video again, you'll see it. When it goes up, all of a sudden, when it gets to the top and stops, it went kabonk. And my heart went, whoa. I thought I'm done. I thought that meant it somehow, I'm going to fall. Now I'm going to fall. And then it solidified, but that didn't mean it didn't take my breath away. I was like, wow. But another thing to know about that, it was at an amusement park. It was Knott's Berry Farm. And amusement parks, they're very noisy. There's tons of people and a lot of noise. When the cable went up, it was up and up and up. And at some point, all of the noise of the crowd disappeared. There was nothing but wind. You couldn't hear anything but wind. And when I got to the top, I went, oh my, this is stupid. This is really stupid. And then I said, okay, you're doing this, you've got to do it, just get through it. And so that's the story on that. But yeah, I'm not afraid of heights.
And then she also tells a story when she got out of the straitjacket, she could hear the roar of the crowd through the silence, which is this big roar coming from down below in this, where she heard nothing up until then.
Yeah, there's certain things in my life that have been monumental, and that was one, that there was no noise, and then all of a sudden, after the straitjacket was released, you could hear the crowd go crazy. So that was special. That was very special. Another thing that was really special was I was in New Jersey. It was, I think, Roosevelt Stadium. There was like 10,000 people in the audience, and I was, I think, Real People magazine or one of the TV shows were there to film, and there I am, like few minutes before I'm going to do the thing. And the producer comes up to me and he says, oh, excuse me, Dorothy, excuse me, could you, I gotta have to sign, could you sign this release? And like, it's like 3 pages of stuff, right? And he wants me to sign this thing. And I'm like, oh, sure, let me look at it. So I look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, they're not responsible for anything, no how, no way, no what, blah, blah, blah. And I said, sure, let me sign it for you. And I signed it Frida Schmidt.
I don't understand. Who's Frida Schmidt?
It doesn't exist. I made it up.
Oh, just a fictitious name.
Fictitious name.
Oh, I understand.
I didn't want to sign it. I don't know what it said. I didn't have my.
No, of course not. No. I understand. You could have put Mickey Mouse or something like that. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Well,
perfect.
I didn't want them to, to catch on real quick.
But I was interested in what you were saying about the sound, because when you were going up and up and up and up, now, was it that the audience thought, oh, and they all stopped making a noise, or were you just so far away? And the wind
it was so far up, you couldn't hear anything. It
so
was
you got
above
to that point.
level.
Yeah, it's like the guys that have gone through the sound barrier, because I found that quite interesting, because they were on the jets and they were going faster and faster, getting noisier and noisier, and then silence, because of course they're going faster than sound. So all the sound is behind them. I just kind of mind blowing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was chilling. That part was very memorable. Like, oh boy.
Yes.
Because you plan things out and you figure you've got it all figured out, and then that happens.
Sure.
Whatever that is.
Yeah. I often say the very funny thing about it, if you look at the video, it's a very macho thing for her to do. But when you look, they bring the camera down to her feet, she's doing the stunt in high heels.
6-inch high heels.
Well, of course. Yeah, of course.
She did it in high heels.
It's hard to find 6-inch high silver high heels.
Well, it had to match the spacesuit, the silver spacesuit. Yeah.
And another funny story: the helmet, excuse me, the helmet that I wore, I could not. The designer was Victor. That's all he called himself, Victor. I designed it, and he manufactured it for me. And there were several things that I wanted. I wanted flames on the suit. And he said, whoa, so you need red and orange and yellow. I said, no. It's going to be a spacesuit, and I need it to be girly. So it's going to be blue. He went, what? And I said, yeah. So he actually took me to the fabric store to pick the colors and everything. And he could not figure out how to build an attractive helmet. He was, so then I went to the millinery store and I bought the parts. And that's actually two caps. The same cap, and I turned one on opposite of that, like an X, and then he covered it with the material, and then beaded it up, and it was pretty sweet. It was exactly what was in my little brain would be perfect, So yeah, I was very, and I can still fit into that suit.
Good for you.
I love it. I really do. It was fun. It was really fun. And meeting Tony Curtis was such a treat. I just told him that I get goosebumps just knowing that I'm going to meet you. And now I've met you, and I will never be the same. This is a wonderful thing. And he said, oh, it's okay. I said, no, you've changed my heart. You really have. And the part that he did playing Houdini, I think could not have been played any better by anyone else. The script in that film is iffy. It doesn't tell the truth at all about Houdini, but it captures the essence of that period and of Houdini's character. So for that, I thank him a lot, and everybody involved in that whole thing, because it does capture that period beautifully.
Well, as you and Dick know, he, after that, and obviously, during the filming of the movie and the prepping for the movie, etc., he got very interested in magic, and would actually show up in different places and, just watch magic. And I don't know, I just met him once in London. Paul and some of the folks in England will remember a series he did with Sir Roger Moore, who was also no longer with us, and if you're wondering who that was, he kind of played Bond after Connery. When they were doing a TV series called The Persuaders, I heard that he would kind of do little things. And after he met Steve Daiquiri, which some folks will know, Steve's now gone, who did probably, and Albert Goshman said this, not me, the best sponge balls in the world. So after he met him, I think on a TV talk show, there's a clip on YouTube about it. He actually kind of did a pretty cool sponge ball routine himself. Mr. Curtis did. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah.
Oh, I
We got a
didn't
lot
know
of-
that. That's cool. I
Yeah,
gotta
it's,
look that up.
yeah. I got, I pick up all these kinds of stories that that go around because I love stuff like that. It's history. It's how you learn things. Let's see who else wants to chat with you guys. Before I go, I must say a huge thanks to dear Peter Stevens, who is our latest SAM member into the Assembly, who's been absolutely fantastic manning the gallery and making sure that everything is going as well as it should. And I'm going to plug. Usually we do the Darkstone Dossiers on a Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, which is 9 p.m. UK. The next Darkstone Dossiers will happen at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is midnight in the UK. It's on the 27th, and I will be posting the links, etc. And I'm sure. And the reason we're doing it, because my guest said, I'm going to be home for 2 days, Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. Pick one. After that, I'm on the road. And I went, great, I'll take it. And my guest is a gentleman you may have heard of, Lance Burton.
Oh, very nice.
So, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, that was the only time he could do. Yeah, that's when I'll do it. So there we are. We've been in touch and chatted, etc. And it's just going to be thrilling, as you can imagine. We are going to beam it all from his porch in his new house in Kentucky. That's all coming off his porch. With a bit of luck, we're going to have Rocky sitting there and going, woof, Rocky's his dog. So, yeah, I mean, if you guys can make it, love you to be here. Well worth staying. Hey, listen, we're in showbiz. You can sleep later on in the morning. Stay up late if you have to. But if in the US, it's not that late. Hopefully after Lance sometime in November, I hope to have Matt King as well.
Anthony, Michael Kelly's had his hand up very patiently.
Michael, please, floor is yours, sir.
Oh, that's all right. I'm happy to be patient. It's always a pleasure to listen. That's really all I wanted to say. It was a real pleasure to listen to the stories tonight and, this remarkable legacy. And that amazing clip of the straitjacket escape. Here in the UK, in ordinary years, hopefully again next year, we have a convention in May called Doomsday. And on the first evening of that, we normally have a show with, it's Michael Diamond from Liverpool, and he will do several escape routines actually, with explosive collars and various other hazards. And I just wanted to say that they're absolutely amazing to witness when you're there close up. You just can't describe that heart in your mouth sensation as the tension mounts, and truly remarkable shows. And it's wonderful to hear these stories tonight. So thank you very much. And Dick, your outfit is amazing, sir.
It's one of many.
Oh, I'm sure, but it's wonderful. Very much appreciated. So thank you very much.
Talking about stories, I just finished a fantastic book, For Fear of Little Men, by Michael Kelly. So if you haven't read it, it is outstanding, the stories in that.
Oh, thank you, Joel. Thank you very much.
By the way, on the costume, the evolution of the costume is in the summertime. I can do 3-4 outdoor shows a day, and no way am I going to wear a jacket. So I just wear a shirt and suspenders, and I'm home free.
We had one time we get people from all over the world to the Houdini Museum, and I love that. I mean, I love that, seeing people from everywhere. And one day we had a gentleman from England, and I had him up on stage, and I said, "Do me a favor. You're from England. Please say something for me." And I said, "Please say tomato." And he said, "Tomato." And I just went, "Oh!" You know, I just love it how you
Yes.
guys talk because it's English, but it's not our English. It's the weirdest thing. I don't understand. But
Yes.
It's the real thing.
so you guys are from England, and then you say tomato, and you say tomato, we say tomato, which is ridiculous. Which is why I always kind of make the Brits say it for me.
Mhm.
Now this little girl in the audience, she raises her hand and she's going, "Excuse me, excuse me." And I said, "What, sweetie?" And she says, "Where did you learn how to speak English?"
But
And of course the crowd cracked up. And I said,
Yes.
"You're just adorable."
You've just followed in. We've got a comedian over here called Jimmy Carr, who's very well known, and he just made a crack. I don't know whether I dare repeat it on this forum, but it was along the lines about the way the language between American English and British English is so similar. And he said, for example, we say tomato, and you say, "Does this come in extra large with an elasticated waistband?"
I have to remember the thing about pants if I go to England. I better be careful. I made a huge mistake the first time I went to England. I went to a restaurant and ordered an English muffin.
Okay.
They said,
You got
"What's
some funny
that?"
looks.
What's that?
Well, yes, Joe Danziger has just quoted the late Sir Winston Churchill, "Two nations separated by a language." You've heard it all from the greatest, seriously. Yeah. And it doesn't come any better than Dorothy, seriously. It doesn't. Am I flattering her? No, I'm not. You know I'm not, because you've heard her and you've heard what she said.
Yeah, I think it's time because we're coming up in just a couple days for the next Darkstone Dossiers.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We
Wednesday.
got another announcement. On the 31st
Yep.
is Houdini's seance again. And I understand that Joel Zaritsky and Hank Feinberg are going to be helping us out with a virtual. So that means anybody anywhere in the world can attend our Houdini seance. And I guess you'll be sending out Joel, you'll be sending out invites and.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It'll be going out to everyone. Yes, all members.
I'll get that on a magic circle. Paul will spread the word, I'm sure, as well as will Kevin. Kevin is just amazing. He does all this wonderful stuff for letting folks know. It will be, of course, on our International Assembly page, which Donna, Jean, and all else, Paul, Abby, Kevin, all these folks are members. So it'll be on there. So Michael, of course, yeah. So Joel will send me a heads up on that. I told you about Lance on Wednesday, 27, Darkstone Dossiers, and on the 29th, from the mysterious island of Malta, we have a kind of tribute to Houdini. That's a little show we helped put together, and I'll be giving you the links and things, so pay attention. All that stuff's going out everywhere. So it's Brian Rollet who's doing his, you'll see, there's a spirit cabinet and a metamorphosis and some really very, very cool things. But, stay alert for the links. You know where to find them. Those of you who don't know, well, Kevin will help you. And if you don't know Kevin or me or where to find them, well, just get in touch or whatever, and we'll get them to you. But I produced and directed that show, and I can tell you, I'm not bragging. I can tell you, it really absolutely amazing, from a kind of mysterious chamber in a kind of old building in Malta, which is a mysterious island anyway. Anybody that's on the square will immediately know a lot about Malta and probably recognize this. I'm not religious. Yeah, I'm not religious, but I think let's not go into great detail. But anyway, that is the Maltese cross. So, folks, I think we have to kind of wrap it up. Yeah, wind up.
Can I say hello to Donna Horn over there? I see you, sweetie.
No,
Hi, Dorothy. You are so amazing. You are incredible, and what an inspiration. I send you a hug right through the screen. You're amazing.
Right back at you, cutie.
Yeah, Donna's pretty cool too, because there's a picture of her with cake on the cover of MUM back in the day. I can't remember which year it was, Donna, but anyway, it's there. And she's just this incredible lady. When we had a gala show, which I brought forward with all the cast to match up with most illustrious, our current president, Tom Gentile's birthday. I said to Donna, you know me, and I love mischief. Could you actually make a small cake or something? And of course, she makes this huge cake with the SAM logo on it. I mean, we've got all of it on the showcase. Joel kind of puts up everything on this great showcase. And, you know, just ask her, and we'll give you the link to the showcase, and you go and see it. I mean, it's a pretty cool cake. I mean, really nice.
It was so beautiful. You would have thought that it was photoshopped.
No, it wasn't. She made it. I can tell you that. No, she made it. No, Donna's very cool. She became my new best friend after that. Yeah, I have a fondness for cake and marzipan. Yes.
You know, as they used to say in ancient Roman times, bye, y'all.
That's all, folks.